You've always been the one who gives more, haven't you? You're the woman who loves deeply, who remembers every detail, who notices every shift in tone, every change in energy. You try to make everything easier for the person you love. You carry the emotional weight of the relationship as if it were your responsibility to keep it alive. You believe that if you just give enough, love enough, support enough, forgive enough, everything will finally feel balanced. But it never does. Because the truth is, love cannot be sustained by one person alone. You started giving because you cared. Because that's who you are. You give because empathy runs through your veins. You give because you've always been the strong one, the healer, the peacemaker. You think love is about effort, about staying when it's hard, about holding on when others would walk away. But over time, that belief turns into exhaustion. You wake up one morning realizing that you have nothing left to give, not because you're empty, but because you've been pouring into someone who never poured back. And maybe, deep down, you knew it. You felt it in the way his messages became shorter, in how his eyes stopped meeting yours, in how your laughter stopped being enough to fill the silence. You told yourself, he's just stressed, or he just needs space. You made excuses for his detachment because admitting the truth would mean confronting the pain that you gave everything. And it still wasn't enough. But my love, it's not that you weren't enough. It's that you were too much for someone who wasn't ready for real depth. You were light, and he was still learning to open his eyes. You were an ocean, and he only knew how to swim in shallow waters. You cannot teach someone how to meet you where they have no capacity to go. Let's talk about why women like you give too much. It's not because you're weak. It's because somewhere along the way, you learned that your worth is tied to how much you can give. Maybe it started in childhood, when you were praised for being the good girl, the helper, the one who always made others happy. Maybe you grew up around people who only showed love when you were useful, not when you were simply being yourself. So you learned to earn love. You learned to perform for it, to overextend for it, to fight for it. As an adult, that conditioning doesn't disappear. It hides under your desire to be loved genuinely. It whispers that if you just try harder, you'll finally be chosen. But here's the truth. Healthy love doesn't have to be earned. It's mutual. It's safe. It's reciprocal. And if you keep pouring yourself into people who cannot reciprocate, you will keep mistaking exhaustion for intimacy. The woman who gives too much often confuses compassion with self-abandonment. She thinks being understanding means tolerating neglect. She thinks being loyal means ignoring red flags. She confuses consistency with codependency. But love is not about how much pain you can endure. It's about how safe and seen you feel while giving. When you start realizing this, something inside you begins to shift. You start setting boundaries. You stop apologizing for needing balance. You stop explaining why you deserve effort. At first, it feels uncomfortable, like you're losing parts of yourself. But really, you're returning to yourself. You're reclaiming all the energy you gave away trying to be understood by someone who never even tried to listen. Here's what happens when you stop overgiving. Peace becomes your new normal. Silence no longer feels like punishment. You no longer chase closure, you create it. You realize that love is not supposed to break you just to prove it's real. You learn that protecting your energy is not selfish. It's sacred. Start pouring that energy back into you. Remember the dreams you put on hold because you were too busy fixing someone else. Remember the hobbies, the laughter, the spark that existed before you started measuring your worth by how much you could give. Reconnect with that version of yourself. The woman who glows when she's free. The one who dances without permission. The one who doesn't beg to be seen because she already knows her value. And let me tell you this. Once you taste the peace that comes from self-respect, you'll never go back to begging for attention. You'll never settle for half love. You'll never tolerate emotional laziness again. You'll see that the love you were trying to extract from others was the love you needed to give yourself all along. One day, someone will come into your life and meet you where you are, not because you gave too much, but because you stopped giving to prove your worth. They'll love you effortlessly, because they'll see the strength in your softness, not take advantage of it. But until then, fall in love with your own healing. Fall in love with your boundaries. Fall in love with the version of you that finally chooses herself. Because the woman who gives too much eventually learns that love is not about losing yourself. It's about finding someone who makes you more of who you already are. And before that person arrives, you become that someone for yourself.